Beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Popped to ASDA recently to pick up a couple of their decent tasting, very cheap continental lagers, which are well worth picking up. If you're in the beer aisle looking at this Salt Amarillo because it interests you, and if you do like a lager, look on the floor in the lager department of ASDA and you'll see a couple of French stroke German beers, well worth picking up. One's £1.30, 13, one's £1.35. Definitely worth picking up. But we're not here to talk about those today. The reason why I was there was the lager, but I noticed that there's a few new craft beers in ASDA, so I picked one up. This is Amarillo, one of my favourite American hops, this. It's part of Salt's single hop series of beers. It's 5% ABV. It's described as hazy and hoppy. So I picked up 4 beers in ASDA. You get a 4 for 3 deal. So I saved £3 on one of the cans. So that takes the cans down, well, in my estimation, it's something like £2.30 for a can of craft beer. In ASDA when you buy that kind of deal. If you buy it on its own, it's £3. So you might, if you just want to buy one can, £3. If you want to buy 4, yeah, it's that kind of 4 for 3 deal. Without further ado, let's get this beer out into a glass and see what we get. What I would say with Salt is that they kind of made a name for themselves for producing really, really good craft beer for the supermarkets. They started off with, well, I'm going to say Huckaback, Salt's Huckaback in Tesco. That was like a legendary, fantastic tasting beer that I think I said at the time, I've not drank that beer in a year or two. I think I said at the time that was probably one of the best supermarket hoppy pale ale stroke IPAs that you can buy on the market. And Salt just kind of like, they grew from that. They just carried on producing really good beer at a really good price for the supermarket. So let's hope it continues with ASDA. Now, of course, my only concern with this is that because it's a 4 for 3 deal and it works out at £2.20 a can, does that mean that Salt have had to kind of compromise, if you like, on the beer's quality to get down to that price point? Let's find out. One finger, white head. Good levels of slow moving carbonation. And it's a hazy, I'm very tempted to say hazy straw coloured. It's a bit lazy though to say that. It's definitely hazy, but I'm going to say more of a slightly kind of amber look to this. Let's get the aroma. Yeah, that's hoppy. I'd say more of a passion fruit, peach, mango sort of aroma here. It smells great. It smells great, and it's kind of almost, just in the aroma alone, blowing away those slight fears of it being brewed to a price point. Of course, it's been brewed at a price point. Of course it has, but there's still a level of quality here. And I'm getting that just in the aroma. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Ooh. Well, first things first, it's really creamy and rich. It's got that fantastic, like, oaty, creamy, rich mouthfeel that you would expect from something which is called hazy and hoppy on the can these days. It's very much following that mantra. It's following that, what you would probably expect from the mouthfeel of the beer. But I'm just using this opportunity. I'm just tasting the beer. Or it's a real tough one. It's a real tough one because there's a big part of my mind that wants to absolutely love this beer and start shouting, "Stone the Crows, this is great, this is great." But it has a slight mentally kind of minty, ever so slight. It's like it might be the yeast. It might be the yeast. It might be a slight kind of estery, kind of yeasty, but it's giving off almost like a minty, mentally, very soft, but it's lurking around in the background, and it's just stopping me from going, this beer's great. This beer's fantastic. Let's make one thing clear. I really, really like it. I really, really do. I think for the price point of £2.20 a can, £2.30 as part of that 4 for 3 deal in ASDA, if you're a hoppy beer fan, you are going to love this beer. You're going to love this beer. Yeah, it's... Let's grab the back of the can. Let's have a look. Let's have a read. Brewing. So they're part of Saltair Brewery. They're like it's another arm of the brewery. It's their kind of canned craft. What is their craft beer arm really that hits the supermarkets, and they have a bar as well. I went to Salt Bar in Leeds, and they got all those little hexagon things all over the bar. You definitely know you're in a Salt Bar. You're like, oh, hexagons everywhere. It was a really cool place, actually. A really cool place. Ingredients: water, malted barley, oats, wheat, hops and yeast. I mean, it more or less conforms to the German purity law. It's kind of like, it's got 5 ingredients rather than 4. And all of those ingredients are kind of natural ingredients. And they talk about the Amarillo hop as well on the back of the can. If you want to pause the video and have a look. It's a new beer into ASDA. I like it. I think, as hoppy beers go, I think you've got to give this beer plenty of credit. Is it going to be as great as something from Verdant or Cloudwater or Polly's or some of the other kind of like token name, the big kind of name like White Whale, fantastic, like £8 a can craft beers? No, it's not. But equally, it's very good for the price. It really is. I'm going to go back to my original kind of like assessment of this, and that is, if you're a hoppy beer fan, you are going to love this beer. If you're used to paying £5, £6, £7 a can for a craft beer, then you might be thinking that this is just lacking a little bit. But at the same time, you haven't paid £5, £6 or £7 a can for it, have you? You've paid the best part. If you got it on the deal, you've paid £2.30. You've paid half the price of it, but it's more than half the beer. I like it enough to give it an 8 out of 10. I reckon 8 out of 10 is fair. I've gone over here. I've been seesawing back and forth with this beer, but I've come to the conclusion that for what you've paid for this beer in ASDA, it's an 8 out of 10. It's worth your money. It's almost like, you know when you're in school and he tells you to do all your workings out? You do all your workings out down the side of the page. It's almost as if I stood here for 8 minutes doing all my workings out with this beer, and I've come to the conclusion it's good value for money. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom, cheers.